how can a Muslim be a Muslim and practice yoga, right? So, as you all know, I'm Muslim and I'm practicing yoga and very deep aspects of it, and even teaching, advanced levels and so forth. And so, I want to explain those um, controversies here in this video that would give you my perspective on it. And for those of you who like the contents of my video, please don't forget to press like and subscribe if you haven't already. This will greatly help my channel to be able to reach out to more people. And if you could drop a comment, I would really love to hear from you. And if you share it with your favorite social media channel, oh my God, that would be super amazing. And I would really appreciate that if you could, do that as well. For those of you who don't know me, I am Osman, hashtag the blind Muslim yogi. I am a bioenergy healer on a master level with telepathic healing capabilities, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, amongst a host of other physiological, psychological, and even spiritual ailments. I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having been practicing this art form for almost 50 years and teaching it now for 46 years. In that period, I've studied under many great teachers and masters from different schools of thought, from different cultures and across the globe, from the Far East, the Middle East, the West, including the scientific community. And I created my own unique protocols, adapting them for the 21st century, making them basically quicker, faster, easier, more time efficient, and results oriented. To that end, I now have students in over 100 countries, and my favorite protocol is my 5-minute yoga and meditation program, which you can download for free by visiting my website yogawellness786.com, and where you can also get more information about my services. So also remember, my therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. So coming back to, how can a Muslim be practicing um, yoga, meditation, pranayama, kriya, hatha yoga, kundalini yoga, energy healing, and all, and call himself a Muslim? So, firstly, I understand the question because there's a huge faction between, the Indian subcontinent and Pakistan, and it seems like this war will never end, over this piece of land, Kashmir, and the Hindus and the Muslims are at each other's throats, and the Muslims are eating that which the Hindus, worship, and the Muslims got a verse on the cow, and you must sacrifice the cow, and the Hindus worship, they consider it very divine and very highly evolved being and so forth, right? And how can I justify being a Muslim and practicing what Muslims would call a heathen religion, right? So these are terms because, this is from ignorance, people talking about it. Firstly, I am a Muslim, right? I wasn't born a Muslim, I reverted to Islam, but I've studied various religions, Christian religion, Hindu religion, Buddhist religion, and I did this very in depth. And I only came to my conclusion and my choice personally, which I believed, is the right path for me at the ripe age of 38. And I started studying these various philosophies from a very young age. I remember 5 or 6 years old, I believe, I do believe there's a God, but I want to see him and I want to know what he wants of us. Because he created us. Why did he create? What's the purpose of life? I'm asking these questions, 5 or 6 years old, right? So now when I think back, it sounds a bit, but I was thinking that way. By the age of 10, I was studying science of yoga, right? I asked the 30-volume edition of the Science of Yoga that is sold by the Divine Life Society. I think now it's in 10 volumes. But that time it used to be in there. And I studied very deeply and doing more research on everything that I read widely. And that time there was no internet and all that, right? So it was doing things, visiting people and different teachers and different experiences and traveling and so forth, right? And being an entrepreneur for the last 30 years gave me the time freedom to spend long hours practicing and trying everything out. And also traveling the globe and meeting people from all cultures, right? And trying to see where's the differences and where's the reason for the differences and where's the misunderstanding. And I found a lot of things, that I believe to be misunderstanding. So, firstly, I in 2018 I became extremely ill. I reached almost death point. Right, I lost, I think, about 25 kg within 2 weeks. We didn't know what virus, what was that illness. I was gone skin and bones very fast, and I don't believe in going to doctors and all that, right? But I was forced to go to the doctor, and then of course they gave me a broad spectrum antibiotic and everything, and then I came right, and and so forth. But I suffered neuropathy damage and a lot of problems in my health, and then of course, I knew yoga, and I wasn't like too keen on practicing it while I embraced Islam at the age of 38. So for about 10 years, I refrained from, practicing outwardly, the actual pranayama or the meditation in the form of sitting cross-legged meditate, but doing meditate from an Islamic perspective where we do something called dhikr, we recite, the names of God and so forth, and also we read the Quran and focus on its content and interpretation, or try to, that it reads to us, it speaks to us and so forth. And focusing, it's a type of mindfulness practice and a meditation practice. But when I said I know yoga and everything, and all the medications and everything wasn't helping because I had very severe neuropathy, right? And then I said, let me do some yoga because I know this is very helpful and very good for health. So I reversed about 30 ailments. I didn't even know at 30. I just thought I was doing it for the neuropathy. Neuropathy receded about over 90%, right? Not 100%, because I needed to bring additional protocols, which I learned later, which was, affecting the neuropathy, to remove the toxins from a body and go into, a detox diet and so forth, that you need to do it for a minimum 18-month protocol and so forth. But why shouldn't I adopt something that's good for my health? Am I worshipping? So Islam has got that you shouldn't worship anything other than God. Don't worship stones, don't worship idols, don't worship, also I'm not worshiping any idols or, any of the deities and so forth. I'm doing my prayers 5 times a day, right? And I don't find any discrepancies. And how do I justify in Hinduism? There's all these deities, right? And there's idols, right? So I believe there's a lot of people who have misunderstandings, and it's a much deeper science. So firstly, let's come from an Islamic perspective. It says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, the beginning, right, of the Quran. After the invocation chapter, it starts with this. It says Alif Lam Mim, like the three alphabets of the Arabic alphabets, Alif, Lam, and Mim. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That is the book which is sent down for those who, the muttaqeen is, they say, the believers, or the ones that have fear of God or follow the prescriptions and prohibitions. A better interpretation of a muttaqin, right? Alladina yukminuna bil ghaibi. So it is those that believe in the bil ghaib, the unseen. Uh, الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. يقيمون الصلاة is those who's always, worshipful and prayerful, and always doing charity, right? Always praying and always helping or trying to help within the means, right? If you go to that type of person, is always going to be helpful, right? It is these people which is described as the muttaqin, right? That the book was sent out, right? I'm coming to the point, right? الذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة يوقنون. It is those who believe in that which was sent down to you, like referring to the Quran, and that which was sent before. They're not saying, so the interpretation of scholars is they say it's the, we know it is to be the gospel, the Psalms, and the Torah, right? But it's not saying the God, it says that which was sent before, right? And believe in the hereafter, that there is life after death, that life doesn't end, when you die, right? And there is an afterlife, that there is, a heaven and a hell, right? Which a lot of people don't believe in a heaven and a hell and so forth. Okay, but it's not saying believe in it. It says, بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك والآخرة. Akhirah is the afterlife, that which is. So let's work from empirical evidence, right? NDEs, no, near-death experiences, so much. So there's the Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, which I keep referring to in my lectures, which I studied when I was in medical school, that she's written a book which is available in Amazon on death and dying, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a Swedish doctor, and she did experiments with over 20,000 people who had near-death experiences, especially in the hospital theater, right? That they died and they resuscitated, came back, and they all gave the same experiences. So there is someone, David Ditchfield, I think. Ditchfield, yes. David Ditchfield, in the 1990s or 80s, right, from the UK, that became very famous and was published in the BBC news and the newspapers in the UK and so forth, of his near-death experience. So very interesting and fascinating thing to this thing. So there is something after death, right? And so forth. So there is, and also in the Quran it says that God is merciful, and He didn't only send messengers and prophets and people only to the Judeo-Christian or the Arabic Peninsula and Israel. No, he sent to the whole world. Did he say it means including China, including New Zealand, including Australia? You go to the cultures that when I visited the cultures, the Aborigine culture, the original ancient, South American cultures, and in the Aztec cultures, the Amazon forest cultures, and the Native American Indian cultures, the Greek cultures, the ancient Egyptian cultures, the ancient Persian cultures, pre-Islamic cultures, right? So Rastafarianism and so forth. So he sent in all times, everywhere. Just that he sends the Quran as a criterion to know these things is not mentioned, or these things are in opposite. So we don't know. Maybe there's a reason for it. We don't know, right? But I believe it's misunderstanding, and of course, some things is clearly said that it didn't happen, and a major argument is against some of those things, right? So we're not going to go into that. It's not a discussion. There's a discussion on how me as a Muslim can practice this thing, and how the worship of I'm not worshiping any deity or this thing, but in Hinduism they do. So let's explain that. So we're using English word gods, right? But the term in the Sanskrit religion or this thing is not God. God per se is para Brahman or Brahman. Para means supreme, supreme Brahman. Because you get Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the demigod, or the devas, or the devis, right? The correct word is deva, and the meaning the illumined ones. If you see them, they are bright in color, like the angels. The description of the angels, like in the Judeo-Christian religions, they are made from light, right? These are entities made from light, right? The devas, and they have certain powers. So the Hindus describe and categorize the light entities and the dark entities and the human, the human race, the middle world, and the spirit entities, and and so forth. They give very detailed explanations. So in among the what we call gods, is there's about 33 million in number. So of course now there isn't 33 million. A lot of the gods became extinct over time, because now this religion is about 4,500 years since it was put in written form by Valmiki, originally, was inspired to write the Vedas, right, and Book of Knowledge and so forth, right? And then a lot of it, got lost, the passage of time. So there is these devas, or they are empowered beings. They have certain power. So why 33 million? So for, let's say you have a problem for financial problem. So there is a certain um, power that can enhance your shortcoming in your lack of finances, to improve your finances. And it comes with a mantra. So it's got the special combination. When you keep reciting that mantra, it will give, it also has a form that if you see it with your eyes, when you in the advanced level and your third eye, normally through your third eye you can see it, right? Or you can even see it through your eyes when your divine vision starts awakening through advanced levels, right? As you become the higher and higher levels of your consciousness of your brain awakens, right? Because yoga is designed to awaken the higher levels of consciousness. Then you will see what they look like, and they look very much like how the statues describe it. So the statues and also pictures is iconic, right? Iconography. So it's got a message in it. For example, they'll have a picture of a half man, half woman, depicting that we have a feminine half and a masculine half, or a right half and a yin and yang, right? And Ida and the Pingala nadis, right? And they also have their different colors and so forth, and meaning, having different meanings, right? Symbolic meanings to it. And also, they are saying that these are real entities as well, that you can see them as well, right? And and then you visit them not to worship them, to make, like, for example, you have a problem in your feet, you go to a podiatrist. You have some psychological stress problems, you go to a a psychologist. And if it's very intense and there needs to be drug therapy and so forth, to you go to a psychiatrist, right? You got some problems, to with diabetes, you go to a physiologist or a specialist, internal medicine specialist, right? Well, you need to go for surgery, you go to a surgeon, right? And you go to a cardiologist, and you get the picture, right? You go to an accountant, you go to different AI for different type of knowledge. So like that, there is higher frequency beings that is not naturally visible to majority of the people, not to all. There are people that can see these things, right? Doesn't mean all people can't see, right? Because there are people who are more evolved that spend time in developing the higher the thing, and being understanding how to access these higher levels. So you can access this empowered, and to make up the shortcoming. So you need more energy, you can recite a certain mantra. So in Islam there's also mantras, right? You recite certain things like hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, right? Sufficient is God as my protector and my provider. So when you feel, someone feels that he's going to cut off all support to you, he's going to fire you if you don't do it. Say, if you fire me, it doesn't mean I'm going to be starving to death. You're not my God. Sufficient is God as my protector and my provider. You say that with firm conviction, and you will not be at a loss. It's like a mantra. There's another, so I'm giving some examples, right, of mantras, not just Hindu, right? Then there's a mantra that you say that uh, we will not experience a challenge greater than our ability to bear, right? It's also biblical and book based, but also it is a like a mantra that you say, okay, let's take something that's not from any book. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. So I said, ah, it's impossible. Then if the Wright brothers thought that, there wouldn't be invention of the aeroplane. If Thomas Edison thought that way, there wouldn't have been the invention of electric bulb. Mind you, he failed 1,000 different ways, over 1,000 different, 1,200 somewhat different ways, and he continued until he found the way to invent the light bulb. Right? Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. Right? Then you get the theories of manifestations and so forth. You just focus on power, on love, on forgiveness, and so forth, positive things. You tend to resonate in a higher frequency, and the law of attraction and manifestation, life starts to become a bit smoother, and it starts to work better. But when you're thinking greed, anger, jealousy, hatred, depression, sadness, envy, all the negative fears, and you start to go into a very worse state of mind, and the manifestation, your goals are much harder to achieve and so forth. There's a lot of psychology and so forth behind it. So coming back to the mantra, right? And this, so I believe the people going and worshipping, they're falling down. Okay, they seeking the help. So you go to your father, oh please, dad, I need this, please, please buy me this. Only this is the last time I will ask, please, 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 please buy me this latest iPhone. I will not ask anything else. Oh please, 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 I want a 4x4 truck for Christmas, right? A remote control truck, a 6, 7 year old, ask, please, 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 please. Does it mean that now your father is God? No, he's got that. He can provide it for you. You're asking him. So people are, taking it very intensely and going down, to open the pathway for them, believing that this entity also can help them, right? That's their belief and so forth. And it goes very intensely. But I'm not doing that. I'm not bowing down and praying to any of the idols or worshipping, and I'm not going into temples and circumambulating the temples and all that. I pray my 5 prayers every day, and I do I see a higher frequency, and yeah, of course I could, just like how people go on mushroom trips and DMT trips. I, without any drug, right, I experience higher frequency entities, and I can see. I don't bow down and pray to them. Right, I see. So there's this movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy, South African movie, right? I'm originally from South Africa. So this primitive tribe, first time they saw a Caucasian background person, right? I don't like to say white and black and so. And even I don't know the origin of the word Caucasian. I'm just using it, not in a racist this thing. A lighter complexion, a human coming from the Western world, and they immediately bow down, thought he's God because he looks different, right? So if we see something that's different from us, and we're not gonna this thing, we can speak in a friendly way and talk without worshiping them, because we worship only one God, the Creator that created everything, that even created them, right? And created everything and created us, from as well, right? So we're worshiping that. I didn't find any discrepancy, in that. So I'm not worshiping anything as a Muslim. So there's a lot of truth. Yes, some things are misunderstood because you get certain philosophies like non-dualism, but then you get Tantra. Now, Tantra is said to be more advanced than non-dualism, goes beyond non-dualism. And then you get Vishnadvaita or Vaishnavism. They don't believe in non-dualism. They believe that you will go into a spiritual world, like how the Christians go into the Christian heaven, Muslims go into the Muslim heaven, the Vaishnavas go into the Vaishnavite heaven, right? So there is descriptions of this in these books, right? That's so we don't know what is true, what is not true, and all that. But I'm extracting the things that are benefit. I'm doing breathwork, which now science has proven that if you do minimum 30 minutes of box breathing, you can increase your life expectancy by up to 30%, and dramatically improve or significantly improve the state of your health by between 15 and 30%, right? So this is scientifically proven in 2025, right? This has been accepted now in the University of California. There's a professor who has proven this using mice, right? So he removed the placebo effect of humans, right, to prove this thing. And then there's ways how they did it. So they prove. So breath work I do, hatha yoga I do, balancing my energies, and it helped me to recede my neuropathy and illnesses, and higher health levels. Meditation helped me to recede much of my neuropathy. I just sat and meditated one day, and I felt so much of my neuropathy, just automatically went away. And then I said, no, but this is good, right? And there's over 50,000 scientific papers showing the benefits of mindfulness meditation, right? So, meditation, scientifically proven to be beneficial. Pranayama, scientifically proven to be beneficial. Hatha yoga, scientifically proved it's the only system of exercises that actually targets the vagus nerve and found to be improved. There's papers, saying that a yoga practice, hatha yoga practice, improves and is a good support to medical treatment, right? It does give a low to very low, improvement, but depends how you're practicing, who you're learning from. It can give much higher levels of improvement and the time period you're practicing. So hatha yoga scientifically proven, meditation scientifically proven, pranayama scientifically proven, right? Mantras, we know it is in Islam also, right? Mantra yoga, and the what's jnana yoga, knowledge, and so forth. We're seeking knowledge, right? Trying to find common ground and where's the benefit. Why write off something? So if I wrote off, I wouldn't be enjoying all these benefits, in my life. Then I also do kriya practice, right? Which is the kriya of Paramahamsa Yogananda. Of course, I feel this energy, and I'm using that energy to heal people. Do you know how many lives I've saved? I've specialized in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses. How many in the last 49 years? I can't count. How many lives I've saved? How many people they're suffering and remotely, telepathically, suffering with a migraine that is not going away, even with tablets, and in 4 minutes it went away, right? In some cases, it took an hour, right? Some cases, of course, more depending on the illness. So many illnesses, medical science can heal 4,000 ailments, right? They've got a remedy, a pharmaceutical remedy for 4,000 ailments, but they don't yet have a remedy for another 14,000 illnesses. So there's a total of known 18,000 illnesses. Medical science got the cure for 4,000 of it. 14,000 they don't have. But the energy healing, ancient science, which I learned from the Chinese culture, right? Qigong Energy Healing, we can heal up to 90% of illnesses, which is 90% of 18,000 is 16,200, right? Illnesses. So we're making up where medical sciences can't help, because sometimes the patients only come to me when medical science fails, and in conjunction with medicals I say don't leave your treatment, because that's also helping, and we just boost it as another slice of the pizza. But there's many things that we can fix that medical science doesn't have, right? So theoretically 16,000 ailments, right? That we can do, and medical science can only do 4,000, right? So I'm using the Kriya of Yogananda, the Kriya practice. That's how I'm healing other people with the Kriya energy, right? So Hatha Yoga or Kriya, or also called Kundalini Yoga, I'm using the Kundalini energy to heal people. So I'm benefiting. So that is how come me as a Muslim perspective, right? I can practice and I respect all, and I'm not saying I'm a know all. Who knows what is the real truth, right? That maybe certain things are said, because the people could only understand things that way, right? And if you said it in any other way, it's going to create disaster. And it gives one lesson to one person and the opposite lesson to the other person, because maybe, hot water will help this person and cold water will help that person. Maybe making the person, wet going to help this person, making the person dry going to help that person, you know so different strokes for different folk. We don't know the bigger picture, but don't paint. And I got my faith, my belief, and I believe I'm not doing anything contradictory to it, and I'm embracing many things from not only the Hindu thing, from the Chinese culture, even from the medical sciences, right? From scientific community on nutrition and so forth, right? Is coming from my nutrition studies and from the Western sciences, right? And so I've got from the Far East, from the East, also from the Middle East. A lot of things I'm applying what I learned in Islam, and even from Christian studies, Christian, Judeo-Christian, Judeo-Christian, aspects I respect, that help me a lot, in my life, in terms of faith and belief and motivation. There's so much to help you. Like there's a book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, as is based on principles in the Bible, and it helps so many people, and it even helped me. When I went into Great Depression in my teens, and my friend's mother, purchased it as a gift for me, and I read it, and man, it changed my life, right? But based on Christian principles. I say, no, I'm Muslim, I will not read what's there. No, I would not. I'm not that way inclined. Doesn't mean I'm Muslim. I'm believing everything that all the Muslims currently are saying. No, but nothing that I'm doing, any Muslim can say is a heathen thing. I'm not doing anything here, right? I'm doing things that are beneficial for me and for society and for my health and my longevity, right? And I'm not compromising. I believe I'm not doing anything that is prohibited, outwardly prohibited in my faith, right? So hope that information helps you get a perspective, because you always keep hearing saying hashtag the blind Muslim yogi, the Muslim part, how Muslim and yogi, how is that, possible? So these are some of the explanations. So hope that information helps you. Take care of yourself always.